pushes the Knicks here down the stretch.
Here's Young, sizes up Gibson, around him, shoots, and hits.
Confident in his jump shot, and he is just...
Trae Young. Wait, I don't know who Gibson is. Some guy that plays for the Knicks. His soul is gone. Watch that. Oh, my God. One more time. Get out of here, old man. My goodness. Trae Young with the dagger against your New York Knickerbockers. And the Knicks suck. This is interesting to see. Sports podcast that I do every single day. We're just watching Trae Young, courtesy of Barstool Sports and the NBA on TNT. What's up? There's been some bullshit that I didn't want to address that I'm going to address today, and I didn't want to, but I have to because it's a big story. That is this transgender swimmer lady. Her name is Leah Thomas. That's right, University of Pennsylvania. We're going to get into my take on that and some facts, not all the facts. You can Google it, and I don't have time. There's just not enough time to get into the facts of that particular situation. We're also going to get into the NFL, which never epping sleeps, which is great. Pro Day yesterday from Malik Willis, and I have a take on him as well, and that's what you guys are here is from my takes. We're also going to examine how the NHL trade deadline impacted betting lines, but we're going to start with a cool new rule in professional baseball, the Shohei Ohtani rule. The MLB and the MLB Players Association have agreed on new rules for 2022, including the Shohei Ohtani rule, which should not have needed to be a thing, but it is a thing. Shohei Ohtani, for those of you that don't remember, he is the Japanese-born baseball player for the Angels who is like, I don't know, a top 30 pitcher in the league and the number 1 or 2 or 3 home run hitter in the league. Essentially, he's Babe Ruth. And everyone's like, the Babe was the best. Like, I don't know. I think Shohei's basically the same thing. He just hits bombs and strikes people out. He's a starting pitcher immediately. He came over here from Japan and was immediately in the rotation of a big league team. There are like tens of thousands of people working their way through the system from college to the minors, 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 to the majors. And those guys, then they get in the bullpen, and then maybe they get the starting rotation. He came over here and was in the rotation and was also the Angels' second best hitter. They have Mike Trout, don't forget, and their best home run hitter. The rule was that if he was pitching and they took him out because he was getting hit or it was just time to take him out or whatever, he didn't finish the game. If he was pitching, then if they took him out, he was out. They have made a rule for him, if you can read it right there, the Shohei Ohtani rule. It's on youtube.com. The MLB and MLBPA have agreed to the Shohei Ohtani rule, where if a starting pitcher is in the hitting, if a starting pitcher is hitting in the lineup, so if he's pitching and hitting, then he can remain as the DH, even if he's replaced on the mound. So that they can, this is like a Little League rule. Because DH isn't officially in a position, by the way, the DH is a thing globally now, which is a bummer. National League games, I have a hypothesis that National League games have always been faster than American League games because you have like a guaranteed out in the lineup. So essentially in Little League, if you were the best player pitching, maybe he's not having a good day, you move him over to first base, but he's still in the lineup. With this, you take out Shohei Ohtani, but because the DH exists, they wanted to leave him in as the DH. So he was hitting, say, fourth, which I believe is where he hits in the Angels lineup. Before this rule, if they took him off the mound, he couldn't hit. So they essentially were picking, do you want to hit today or pitch today, which is smart. You don't want him to be hitting if he's pitching sometimes. But now they're like, oh, well, we can just take him out and replace him with somebody else. And so what they will do is move the DH. So he's the pitcher, and then they have to change the DH. This is a dumb thing that has to happen, but good for him. You are not you're not a G. You're not like an elite player until they change rules for you. He's the most dynamic pro sports, team sports athlete on the planet by a huge margin. If he were in New York, he'd be the most famous person in sports right now. But he's in California where he's not even the top 5,000th most famous person. Is that reasonable? That seems about right. NFL Pro Days yesterday. Deion Sanders had Pro Day for Jackson State. 8 teams did not show up, and Prime Time was not having any of that shit. Prime, what do you guys say to those teams that don't show up?
For your kid, hey, I love you. 24 teams. 24 teams came to witness our kids yesterday in its entirety, and I appreciate you. But there's 32 teams in this Crayola box. Therefore, the Dolphins, the Broncos, the Texans, the Bills, the Buccaneers, the Ravens, the Panthers, the Browns, the Vikings, and the Eagles. Where art thou? you could have sent somebody, man. You could have shown up just a little bit. But I guarantee you that you're gonna go to Mississippi State and Ole Miss. I guarantee you're gonna show up there. I understand. You saying they have more talent. I understand. But guess what? We coming.
I don't know. He says they're coming. I don't know if they're coming. But there is no reason not to go to the pro day. Like, why are you paying all these people? The exception, of course, are the Bengals and the Patriots, who don't have anybody. They are have no staff. It's the weirdest thing ever. But what's weird is that half those teams are just dog shit, and the other half of them are really good. Like the Eagles and the Bills and the Bucks, they're really good. So I don't know. They're well-run organizations and shitty organizations. Half of them, they didn't go. Or I guess 25%, 8 times 32, 25% of the league didn't go, and of that 25%, half of them are dog shit and half of them are good. I don't know what to tell you, Prime. Mississippi State's got Charles Cross, who's a left tackle who will go top 10. They also have Martin Emerson, a cornerback that will probably be a first or second rounder. Ole Miss has Matt Corral and Sam Williams, who will be first and second or third rounders. But he should have gone. I mean, the point of pro day is to see him work out. But also, if he's trying to make it a program, just combine them. Why doesn't Mississippi just have a Mississippi pro day? I mean, wouldn't you all have liked to seen Dak Prescott throw the ball to the Ole Miss receivers, like Laquan Treadwell? Wouldn't that have been better? Why are we doing that? I don't know why we don't just have combined pro days. We can get over it. They can all meet in Jackson. You can do it at Jackson State. This is dumb. Or you can do it at whoever won the state championship. I don't know. I'm just spitballing. Okay, so yesterday Malik Willis had his pro day, and Malik Willis. So let's watch this throw. If you're on YouTube, you can't watch it. It's the same throw that you've always seen from Zach Wilson and Trevor Lawrence and I don't even remember Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. They all do this thing. I don't want to listen to you. Here we go. Well, I guess we can play it. Play it from the NFL.
His running ability and things. Teams, people I've spoken to said, look, you can put a couple packages in for him, like the Niners did with Trae Lance. Guys, every time I'm on here, these releases is an unbelievable throw. Look at the celebration here. Let's go,
That is a 70-yard throw in the air, and here he's running around, and he's doing the windmill, and there's a lot of hype for him to go to the Lions at second overall. I do think the Lions are going to take a quarterback. That's just my gut feeling. But, and hey, Nick, why do you play that music? So that YouTube's AI can't find out that I'm violating copyright law. Because I just want to play clips on my little podcast. Okay. So, there's a lot of hype to him to go to the Lions number 2. I do think the Lions are going to take a quarterback second overall. I think it's going to be Matt Corral or Desmond Ridder. But you've seen this throw a million times. He had some good throws. He completed 64 of 69 passes against no defenders. And he's got some problems that people were critical of. His happy feet, and he does this thing where you pat the ball too many times. And if you watch for the pat here, he doesn't pat the ball. He's clearly working on it. But this kind of shit, to me, this is like having a long drive contest to determine who's good at golf. I am not sure how often Tiger Woods or Phil Mickelson would have won a long drive contest, but I have seen those long driver guys play golf on TikTok, and while they're good, they would be embarrassed on an actual golf course, though they would outdrive guys like Brooks Koepka and Jordan Spieth by maybe 100 yards per drive. They would still get embarrassed, and I get that vibe with Malik Willis more than I do with some of the other guys, Mahomes, Allen. I got that vibe with Love. I got that vibe with Zach Wilson. Look at that bomb. That's crazy, but Malik Willis has this thing where he throws the ball to the other team a lot, and he ran an offense that was college friendly. I'm all the way out on Malik Willis. We got plenty of time to talk about that. But it was pro day yesterday, big pro days today. Matt Corral's going today. Kenny Pickett went 2 days ago. All the quarterbacks going in succession. Look at it. What a great throw. All right, Brittany Griner's been in jail in Russia for a million years now, and I think it's time for all of us to get a little freaked out by this, and we should be pissed. One of the most impressive American athletes of all time is in jail in Russia. We need to get more fucking mad about this. This is, honestly, I hope that Brittany Griner is a straw that breaks the camel's back. I'm not a geopolitician, but what the fuck? She's been in there for 40, today, it was 40 days yesterday. It's 41 days she's been in there. She's in a Russian jail cell as a woman who is 6'10". I don't know how she's being treated, but it cannot possibly be good. And it's because she had an e-cigarette. Fine. Jail. I think, and then it feels like they're taking out their shit on us, on her, which, again, that's one of our treasures. What are we doing? She's an American treasure. She's kind of a smartass and a little curmudgeon-y at times, but she's great. She's a great basketball player. She's probably a good person as far as I've heard of. I believe I've seen her in interviews and stuff where she's a little hype, sometimes a little extra, occasionally. But that's being nitpicky. She's an American treasure. She's an American treasure. What are we doing? I've been avoiding this story because I don't care about college swimming on this podcast. I do care about college swimming because 2 of my, 15 closest friends of all time are former college swimmers. 1 man and 1 woman. Lia Thomas is a transgender athlete from the University of Pennsylvania who had a record-breaking season during her transition from being a born male to being a female and expressing herself as Lia. As a male, the person formerly known as somebody, he was a swimmer at Penn State, and he was adequate. He was fine. Then the transition happened after transferring to the University of Pennsylvania. I want to make something clear. Transferring from Penn State to Penn is not the same thing as transferring to play quarterback from Ohio State to Georgia. That means, especially with recent scrutiny, you would have, eyes are going to be on you at Penn. And they don't care about winning sports games at Penn. They do, but they don't enough to cheat. They're going to cheat to let you into the school, but not to win sports games. So Thomas undergoes her transition at a certain point in time, and according to USA Swimming, according to the NCAA, who botched this whole thing, and according to other precedents set in other sports, specifically the sport that's been leading the way on this by an enormous margin, and the real groundbreaking organization with what should be protocol for transgender athletes, specifically born men transitioning to the female side of the spectrum, is the UFC and Fallon Fox. So there's a lot of debate scientifically on how much time should elapse with specific surgical and hormone treatments to allow someone who most recently became and expressed themselves and became physically male or female, and then let them compete with a group of gendered people, right? So the number, I think Lia was like, if I remember, the controversy about allowing her to swim at the Ivy League championships were like a month ago. I believe she was like a day or two short, but they kind of waived it, and they were like, all right, it's pretty close. But Penn kicked the can down the alley to the NCAA, and the NCAA is like, we don't know what the fuck to do with this. And this is like a really big powder keg situation because this is the Ivy League. So if you piss off the wrong person, like, there is enough money and power to really make this a headache. I'm sure that the NCAA just likes it when the Ivy League sends one team to the NCAA tournament and just like leave them alone. They want to cancel an entire season of sports, just let them do whatever they want. They're so powerful. So they kick the can down the road to the NCAA. The NCAA shrugs. They let Lia compete in the Ivy League championships and then in the NCAA championships. And from what I understand, and again, this is not a swimming podcast, I'm sure that those exist. I don't care how she did. I believe she won something, and then she almost won something, and then her team sort of was good. I don't know or care. And to be fair, I have never cared about who has won college swimming. I have been very consistent in that. So now, if you saw over the weekend, people were being very biting who don't believe that transgender athletes should be able to compete with members of their new gender, I guess. Is that the appropriate way to say that? Whatever. There's a lot of discrimination. People are on the other side of the spectrum who are supporting Lia are saying that she should be celebrated like Jackie Robinson. I would disagree profusely, simply because Jackie Robinson played baseball in the 50s, and this is swimming. No defense to the swimmers. Regardless, this has become a powder keg situation for 2 groups of people that just want reasons to fight. And this really boiled over for me when Governor Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, tweeted the following: by allowing men to compete in women's sports, the NCAA is destroying opportunities for women, making a mockery of its championships and perpetuating a fraud. In Florida, we reject these lies and recognize Sarasota's Emma Weyant as the best women's swimmer in the 500-yard freestyle. So they raced. And the most important part of this to me, and the part of the investigation that I have not done, is how Lia's teammates and co-competitors feel. And if there's any sort of unanimity in that, then that's how we should do it. That's my opinion. Because if her co-competitors, both her teammates at Penn and the people that are in the pool with her, are like, this is cool, then this is cool. If it's not cool, then maybe it needs more scientific investigation. Maybe the period of time the hormones should kick in should be longer. I don't know. But I do know that Governor Ron DeSantis not accepting the results of an NCAA event is fucking hilarious. We don't recognize the results of the NCAA race because we believe there was cheating. And it's not fair. This is what's going to make us mad at the NCAA, is allowing a trans athlete to compete with members of her new gender. Not all of the other shit. Like, I don't know, letting Urban Meyer run a gang at Florida, or letting Michigan make jokes and aid and abet the most prolific serial sexual assaulter in documented American history. But allowing a trans woman to compete in a very short amount of time, that's upsetting. People just want to be mad. And again, I don't care about NCAA swimming on this particular podcast. I just don't. The people that I know that were swimmers, they were very invested in all of this, and both of them are mad at the NCAA for not coming up with a policy. That's who they're mad at. This is a missed opportunity. We got to figure this out. I've been avoiding that. I don't know what to say about it. I haven't done the research, and I probably won't. There are only 24 hours in a day. If it affects football, hockey, basketball, perhaps. Other than that, a lot of people on Facebook recently care a lot about women's college swimming. That way more than I thought that they would. I mean, did you know there were this many women college swimming fans in your neck of the woods? We'll get out of here on this. A little bit of silver lining, I guess, to lift your mood. The Cleveland Rape Crisis Center reports a surge in donation after Deshaun Watson's trade. Statement from the Crisis Center. We've had survivors say, I've been a lifelong Browns fan. My family are Browns fans, but I'm also a survivor, and I'm outraged by the decision. I'm donating a cost of a season pass, or $22 for the 22 women who were silenced. There are also a ton of donations coming from the Buffalo area, which continues to prove that the Bills Mafia, greatest fans in professional sports. That's going to do it for this episode. We'll be back and better than ever tomorrow. We'll continue to march towards March Madness. Games are tomorrow. Sweet 16.